Thank you very much. It's lovely. Glorious. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Jasper and Ed. And the wind is playing havoc already. Excellent. See, you boys have to deal with this. It is wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for inviting myself and the CSM team to be part of today. So for those that you don't know me, my name is Kathryn Rhodes. I'm from CSM. We're a global marketing agency. I co-lead the region for Asia with wonderful Leslie Murphy, who is front here. And we're really excited to be part of the conversation today in person. I now actually live in Singapore. Sorry to say that. I was here for 6 years, and it's absolutely brilliant to be back and a privilege to be here. I had a lovely experience on Cathay yesterday. Thank you very much. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our panelists up. And we have got a video, so we might have to do some jumping out the seats and getting out the way for you as we go through. But I'm going to welcome on our panelists. It's the girls' time. Thank you to the boys. Now it's the girls. So we've got Kath, Deb, and Hanane going to join me on the stage now. You're good? Everyone's mics work?
I think so.
And we didn't plan the outfits, but I think it actually works quite well.
We're bookending on pink.
Absolutely, yeah. So you've heard from me. I'm going to go along the line. If you could just introduce yourselves. Floor is yours. A bit about yourself. Kath.
Hi.
Hi again.
Nice to see you again. Kath Gibbs, Director of Sponsorship for AIA. I've been with AIA coming up 9 years now, and previous to that I was with UBS for a good number of years and a short stint with LVMH. I tend to follow acronyms, and I have no idea why. However, it's been a wonderful career to date. Always been in the sort of sponsorship, sports marketing, corporate communications, brand communications side. So it's been a fantastic journey so far, and I think it's very much an evolving career. And I know that we're going to be talking about partnership, sponsorship, purpose. But delighted to be here and share a few more stories with you. Hanane.
Hi, sorry for my voice. I've been cheering too many horses.
It was a good night last night. Yeah.
Last night, but I'm Hanane. I'm working for Hong Kong Jockey Club for 6 months. So I am the first woman head of racing marketing. And before that, I was 10 years sports marketing director for Adidas in charge of the Olympic Games and rugby. And I was myself a former international track and field runner. And I'm very pleased to be here today. Thank you.
I'm Deb. I work at Bank of America, and I've been there also about 9 years. Before that, I've been in banking a long time, but I've been in the events industry for about 20 years. Don't want to show my age. I'm also on the Regional Advisory Board for PCMA, one of the partners here today. If you're not a member, we're a community of business events professionals, and do reach out. Florence, our managing director's here as well. Reach out to me. We'd love you to join. I've been in Hong Kong a long time, and I'm also proud to say that I am a director of a charity here called Hope Hong Kong. It's actually a charity that supports people going through infertility and pregnancy loss. So it's something that we're just really starting up and growing, but again, very committed to Hong Kong. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And you can see like a phenomenal panel of business leaders in the region. And I think, we had a few pre-conference chats which went on for quite a while. So I think my job today is almost the conductor of the audience to try and keep everything within 30 minutes today. But there's so much to cover, especially when you look at the topic that we've got to cover, partnerships and purpose. And I think to Jasper's point at the beginning, we're not saying the 3 Ps. Actually, I think from a panel, we're going to add an S to that, which is sponsorship. I know it was talked about in the last session, but I'm going to actually kick off maybe to Kath, because we talked a little bit around the evolvement from sponsorship to partnership. So what does that mean? What does it look like? And why the evolvement?
Yeah, I think, again, I've been doing this for some time now, and back in the day, it was very much sponsorship. And I've worked on both the sort of the agency side as well as the corporate and brand side. And back in the day, it really was that sponsorship was a financial transaction for benefits in return. And I think a lot of you probably here have experienced that as well. And it was really about, I'll give you this, and in return you'll give me this. You can put your logo on the shirt, you can have a booth over there, etc., etc. You can have one dinner. And it was very transactional. And I think there was a really good shift change. And it actually didn't happen to coincide, I don't think. But for me personally, it really came when I joined with AIA, because I was brought on to come in and drive their Tottenham Hotspur partnership, which was a shirt sponsorship. I now refer to it as a partnership. And what was really interesting with that one was, obviously we had the asset of the team and the club back in the UK, and we were able to send people there to enjoy get games and meet players, and it was money can't buy experiences. But we came quickly to realise that as an Asia-Pacific business, what were we doing with this sponsorship that we were able to leverage in our own backyard and for the good of Asia-Pacific and the communities in which we work? So it started the conversation around, well, hang on, let's come together and think about how do we shift change this? How do we become partners in this so that we can create some shared value for each other, so that you as a club are having greater visibility and impact on the ground in Asia, and we as the brand are demonstrating our purpose, which, in case you forgot it, is to help people live healthier, longer, better lives in Asia. And so already into the agreement, we became better partners. And we did so by inviting a handful of their international development coaches to come and live in Asia permanently and travel around our markets and run clinics, particularly for youths. And, we have now touched the lives of tens of thousands of young kids in Asia Pacific by doing so. So that's an example of just where the traditional sort of approach to sponsorship became a partnership. And I think partnership works when you've got a vision, a shared vision and a shared purpose. And when you find the right partner to go into that with, and I said it earlier on the stage, having that commitment, the collaboration and the vision creates far more impact and magic. And then I was doing the Tottenham Hotspur, and then came another gentleman by the name of David Beckham. And I know, sorry, I get that a lot. But, and they said to me, look, you can't handle both of these big partnerships, so, would you like to choose? And I said, well,
it's a tough decision.
Yeah, let me sleep on it. No, I very quickly, obviously, suggested that they needed fresh eyes on Tottenham Hotspur, and I'd take David Beckham, thank you very much. But again, that was a wonderful partnership, because it wasn't about, there was this gentleman who no one could touch. He was this big star name, and we just happened to plug our name next to him. But instead, we created a program with him which was very, very grassroots, very much impacting our markets across the region, and continually innovating that partnership as well. So we went beyond the linear, the verticals, whatever you want to call it, of we give you this and we get this for return. It was a journey along the way together. And I think that's very much the difference of where sponsorship turns to partnership. And then, of course, as I spoke about earlier, the wonderful journey partnership that we've had with Michael and GEG in transforming AIA Vitality Park and the Wheel into an iconic destination for health and wellness and live events on the Central Harbour front. So I think there's a very, very important differentiation between sponsorship and partnership.
Yeah, and the idea of transforming, and that's an element of today's conversation, is all around that transformation. And I think the point that you touch on around the coaches in particular, the AAA Spurs coaches that are based in the region, we've worked CSM and AAA together for the last 10 years activating this partnership, and having those tangible proof points in market that mean it's not just a badging exercise. You can actually impact community, both in the short and long term. It's those tangible proof points that really help.
Yeah, it becomes purpose in action.
Exactly.
Right? It demonstrates the proof points of what you're setting out to achieve. And it's really very important, because when you invest and when you partner with someone, you have to create the shared value to get the maximum impact in return, I believe. And we've certainly seen that at AIA.
Absolutely. Deb, I'm going to throw it to you next. So Bank of America, how important is purpose to the partnerships that you have in region?
Well, I'll just give a little bit of background around the types of events that we're doing here.
Great.
I mean, we're B2B events, and over the course of a year, we do around 160 to 200 events. And during the last couple of years, you know, my team did a fantastic job of switching those into virtual events. But obviously, you know, the way we think about our partnerships is a little bit different because we're not B2C, so it's not always as public, right, with big name partnerships. However, you know, Bank of America has such a huge depth of partnerships across community. We're even looking at partnerships in terms of our clients as well. So I think in this human era of marketing, you know, I think we would all agree, and everyone's talking about this, that, you know, events are a great way for people to properly experience your brand and to tell a story, most importantly. So we're looking for those moments to really differentiate and to be able to tell that story with our clients. So moments, you know, we have huge network of partnerships with NGOs, local ones here in Hong Kong, but we're in 12 markets across Asia Pacific. And so, you know, and of course globally, we have great partnerships through the arts, through sports. Recently, we had a fabulous event up in Tokyo at the Tokyo National Museum where we were showcasing 10 years of art conservation projects where we had helped restore some real national treasures. So things like that is absolutely such a unique experience for our clients, and I think just helps them understand really what we're all about and how we're trying to help, you know, communities thrive. I will also just mention as well is another thing that I think we're starting to look at more and more in the past couple of years is our clients and the stories that we can tell for our clients. So even I was at the World Economic Forum, had that privilege just last month or a couple of months ago, and even through some of our gifting that we had in our spaces there was all leveraging from some of our incredible, you know, clients that are doing amazing things and making sure that instead of just giving everyone a very handy Allbirds woolly hat, which you needed in Davos this year, but telling the story about that client and, you know, their sustainability story and the impact that they were making. So that's exciting too.
Yeah, and things can be big or small in terms of how you engage and activate your purpose-led partnerships. But I think what's wonderful to hear from talking previous is that you're talking more openly, publicly about what you're doing through purpose and partnerships and sort of educating people around that. So on to education. We've heard a little bit. Andy, thank you for mentioning so many touch points we're going to touch today in this panel around education of the Jockey Club and how you're transforming as a brand. Hanane, where'd you start?
Well, exactly. And to give a little bit of context, because myself being there for 6 months only, I've been just amazed and proud being part of Hong Kong Jockey Club. I mean, we are on the top 10 donors of the world, so purpose is in our DNA. And this is very important. I know we don't want to talk about money, and we won't, but 6.6 billion are given every year to 300 charities. So this is why I want to build and try with the team to kind of bring that awareness about the great things that the Hong Kong Jockey Club is doing. And this goes through what's happening also in the race course, because horse racing is also our DNA. Horse racing is a sport. And myself having a sports background, this is one of my key mission is how do we promote horse racing as a sport and how do we promote the race course as a lifestyle entertainment destination, and this through the lenses of our partners. That's why it's going to be very important to select partners that are purposeful and purpose-led. And one of the concrete examples is what we are doing today, Hong Kong Jockey Club, into sustainability. And one of our close partners is BMW. I think you have heard about BMW Derby as an example. And we wanted to drive awareness of their electric car series for the benefit of the environment and the Hong Kong society. And ourselves, actually, Hong Kong Jockey Club, we have a fleet of BMW electric series to also fill in that win-win partnership. To all of you, we are also the first producer of live sports events, and twice a week. Every Wednesday in Happy Valley Racecourse, we're talking about 12,000 customers being there in the public segments. So I know we talk a lot about members, but it's the public segments that's going to help us to bring awareness about what it means to be purposeful. And every Sundays also we have a Shot-in Racecourse where we have an average 30,000 public segments. And when we talk about major race days, we have 11 major race days where we have an average there around 80,000. So what a great platform for you as partners to come and drive your messages either about your purpose. So this is why it's very important to kind of combine both of them.
And I think you mentioned earlier, 88 race days. Like we talk about regular proof points and a regular platform that it's totally unbeatable in terms of the landscape of Hong Kong. So it's phenomenal. You touched on BMW. I think we've got a video to sort of bring that to life a little bit. I don't know if we need to move off the stage quickly and then we can just play it behind us. One sec.
After 2 hard-fought battles, the pinnacle of the 4-year-old classic series is here, where supreme horsepower meets relentless dedication, with a place in history at stake, where Hong Kong's finest 4-year-olds prepare for an electrifying finale. Where rising stars become legends, winning once-in-a-lifetime glory. The BMW Hong Kong Derby, March 19, Shot-in Racecourse.
Madness, another event to go into March. Thank you, everybody.
So please come over the 19th of March, and this is exactly a concrete example of a win-win partnership with a brand that is purpose-led, defending the environment, and we have so many other races, so please tag along anytime to the best sports live events in Hong Kong. Horse racing is the sport #1. Sorry, I love rugby, but it is.
I did get goosebumps watching Sevens though, Robbie. Having been involved in rugby since I moved to Hong Kong, it is a goosebump moment and a weekend, so it's obviously great to have it back at full force in the end of this month. March is busy, goodness me. So as mentioned earlier, if anybody would like to do events or host live events in summer, I think we're all encouraging that to get out of March a little bit. We touched on sustainability in terms of the BMW partnership. We talked a lot about what does purpose mean to us, and all of us, I think sustainability was at the heart of our response. So Kath, maybe come to you in terms of purpose does cover a multitude of things, but what is so special about sustainability? Why is it central to purpose-led strategies?
Well, I think it all goes hand in hand and in tandem. And again, I talked about shared value. And I think, there's obviously a lot of particularly large organisations and corporates are really driving environmental, social and governance, or ESG as we come to know it. And sustainability is a key part of that. For us at AIA, we have 5 pillars. It's about operating efficiently. It's people and culture. It's about health and wellness, of which obviously I'm very involved in. But it's really essentially about doing the right thing with the right people in the right place for the right reasons. And as we like to say at AIA, and then the results will come. But I think that that's beyond just the impact of business. It's about going beyond your own customer base. It's about doing what's right for society. And sustainability is critical to that. I mean, environmental wellness is one whole strand that perhaps we needn't go too deep into, because I think it's all very high on our minds. But it's about sustainable operations. It's about making sure that we're creating a world that our youth and the generations behind us can come and walk into, not just a healthy planet world, but a world that is kind, a world that works together. And I think particularly now more so than ever, coming out of what we all have as a world, it's never more important to think about these things. And so sustainability is critical. I think in order to really be true to sustainability, you have to have the purpose. You have to have that vision, that commitment. You have to have the right partners, and you have to have the vision to go with it. So I think that's where it all fits into what we do, and I'm sure what many others are doing when we talk about sustainability.
And we don't have a choice, right? So as business leaders, I think, Deb, you mentioned it, we don't have a choice. It's fundamental to our business strategy. If we're going to align with the next generation of customers, do you have any thoughts on that we talked about?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're all on a path to net zero, right? And so how we do that together and how we sort of support ourselves through it. You know, I think the event industry, we're already talking about that, and I know there's a sustainability panel later on. You know, one of the things, we've talked about, you know, community partnerships and things like that, but one of the other things that I think we all have the power to do is, you know, drive those conversations through our vendor partnerships. So even though it might be a partnership where you're paying money to, you know, to get a service or, you know, to have that agreement, but I think the questions that you're asking becomes really important. And as you mentioned, Kathryn, you know, it doesn't really matter how big or small. I think we're looking at it even from a contracting basis. You know, like what are we writing into our terms and conditions that are non-negotiable from an ESG standpoint? What conversations are we having with some of the big hotel partners that we work with to make sure that sustainability, our values and their values align? And, you know, again, I'm sure, you know, all of us feel that that conversation is really changing. Right down to, I shared the example of us, we were at an event in Singapore and we chose, instead of using the lovely hotel coffee, we invited in Better Barista, which is this fantastic little company which is very focused on sustainable sourcing of coffee beans and things like that. And again, we think about how we tell that story on site. I think, you know, not only for any sort of credibility or anything, but just to actually spotlight that we all have a decision and that, you know, we're trying to look for those shared values. So vendors, I think if you've got the, you know, dollars and you're spending that, think about how you can drive that purpose and also drive that change through those dollars, through that discussion.
And it allows it, to your point, it allows an amazing storytelling platform for a brand. It's not just delivering the purpose, but it is enabling you to have that mutual benefiting story to tell communities and drive your brand in key markets. So finding partners that work and align with your brand values. Hanane, obviously in the market for new partners, what do they need to tick in terms of purpose and aligning with your brand values?
Well, definitely, as I said earlier, you know that we are not a profitable institution, and it is in our DNA to be purposeful. So having partners that are purposeful is going to be one of a tick. And indeed, we are looking for partners that could bring the sense of sport. I've remarked we don't have any sports brand being partners of the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Definitely, we are a platform where entertainment is important, and we are looking at, we're already working now with Clock and Flap, but indeed, with Music Matters, why not, to see how we could line up common artists to come and entertain our Hong Kong audience. But horse racing is all also about fashion. So I could imagine a nice fashion brand being partners of Hong Kong Jockey Club, because there is this pleasure of dressing up when you come to the race course that is quite unique.
And the fashion show that could just come in between the races.
Exactly.
I love it already. Now, we're all talking about partnerships that work, that really align with your brand values, are benefiting both your brand and your business. How do you ensure that it doesn't go wrong? You know, you see, unfortunately, there are brands that get put in the bracket of whether it's greenwashing when it comes to sustainability, pinkwashing when we look at diversity and inclusion, sport washing, you know, putting your logo on something. So maybe it's a curveball for Kath. We haven't prepped this one. How do you ensure that partnership, you know, Spurs has worked for you for 10 years, it must be working. How do you ensure that you don't fall into some of the pitfalls around partnerships?
Well, look, nothing is fail-safe, right? But I think it comes back a little bit to what Deb mentioned as well. From the get-go, if you have very robust vision and values before you even enter into an agreement or a partnership with someone, that's first and foremost, I think, the most important thing, because you'll know very quickly if someone is paying lip service to you or really does believe and share in the vision and purpose that you have as well. So I think that's fundamental. I think generally as well, we tend to look for longer term partnerships. It gives you both time to work each other out, be agile, and I'm not going to say the other P word that I'm not supposed to say, but, be agile to each other's needs, to changing conditions, to changing wants, and, like the Spurs partnership, we thought it was going to be this, and then we thought, well, hang on a minute, here's an idea. And I think that's the other thing about getting good partners on board is allowing yourself to have the playground or the space to innovate together and to create. So it's not that traditional transactional sponsorship agreement. It's a partnership that says, hey, let's evolve together. But let's make sure that we're setting into this from the get-go with the shared values, the shared vision and purpose at hand. And I think that's for us that's how we sort of approach what we do.
The power of the collective. That's something else, we talked around is, it's amazing to have so many people here today, and I encourage everybody to come and chat, connect on LinkedIn, because the power of working together helps us drive that purpose, that agenda, which is central to every business strategy moving forward. My last sort of question, we can open to the floor if anybody has a question as well, is just around grassroots. So often, ensuring that you've got that purpose-led strategy at the heart of partnerships, it seems to come back to grassroots. So engaging with the community. And Hanane, we're obviously looking at current sponsors, new sponsors, but ultimately your core purpose is the community and giving back.
It is only the community. Whatever we do is for the betterment of a society. I mean, we're supporting today 292 charities, and we are really into the betterment of the people. This is our DNA. This is something that is bigger than anything. I mean, I come from the fashion and sports industry where I used to sell products, and what a blessing to work for an institution where the objective is the betterment of a society. I mean, it's in the core, including the integrity of the Hong Kong Jockey Club. So I'm quite amazed and every day loving my job. I'm just so lucky.
You can tell she's new to her job. Have we got any questions before I close up? Please put your hand up. Don't be shy. Yes, Ed Bell. How do you measure the impact of sponsorship or partnership, not the S word?
Look, it's not indifferent to how you address the same sort of question when you're up here, Ed. I think there's multiple ways to measure the impact. There's also some points to it that you can't really measure, frankly, and but that's the nature of it. I think, obviously we look at the impact of people's lives, the numbers that we reach, and I don't mean just on digital platforms. It's about engaging the communities, it's about engaging our customers, it's about even responding to different customer needs through what we learn from the partnerships that we have, it's sort of sense checking with them, right? Has this worked? Does it impact you? What would you like to see more of? So it differs with everything that we do. It's a numbers game in that there are some things you can really definitively track. And what you do with that is that you then apply it to whether it's looking at different products and propositions, whether it's shifting your marketing spend or whatever it is. But I can't share every single detail here and now, but I think it's going to be the same for Deb as well.
I would agree with that. I think it's very hard, again, for all of us to measure ROI on an event is not something that's always that tangible. And I think with these partnerships that can be the case. I agree that there are some metrics, but also in the space of sustainability and ESG, etc. I think, the industry is also coming together in different pockets to figure out what is the measure. And I know, that at a very high level, we're sort of working closely on the Sustainable Markets Initiative, where we talk about actually what is the measure of how we look at all of these things and the collective metrics that we do. So I think that conversation within the events industry is probably, kicking off. And, the beauty of virtual, though, is that one of the naughty words? I'm not sure. We just got the most amazing metrics on that. Again, very tangible, probably just hard data. It doesn't really talk about how you measure purpose and partnership. But how do we translate that into the live experience will be interesting.
Yeah, I think also just to add to that, what's been interesting is also shareholder reaction, right? Key stakeholder reaction has shifted quite incredibly, particularly as we've gone and stepped into the journey as we should do around ESG. And that's been very interesting because there's been a very a significant change in what the shareholders are looking for. And it's very encouraging because they're becoming part of the conversation outside of numbers. And I think that's a very encouraging thing to be seeing too.
Yeah, and also the successful of partnership is also about the length. There is a win-win relationship on the satisfaction that we give to each other, but also on the satisfaction that we give to the consumers, because at the end of the day, he is the one to decide if we're doing a great partnership. In Hong Kong Jockey Club, we have partners that are there for 20 years. So it means that it is a successful partnership.
I think it's just refreshing that we're talking about measurement in the lens of partnerships. I remember when I first started in this space, measurement wasn't really a word that was mentioned. There was no frameworks or anything else that we now work to. And it's great that businesses are going, okay, why? What is the purpose of this partnership? What are we trying to achieve from it for our brand, for our business, for our consumers, our audience base? And we've got that sort of metric to work towards, and it's right at the start of the conversation. It's an evolving conversation over long, short-term partnerships, whatever it is.
Actually, something someone mentioned before about that, like retaining talent in this industry is an issue, right? And again, bringing more talent, particularly after the last 3 years. And it was talked about this morning that purpose and doing that through these partnerships, I think, matters so much to the younger generation. So I don't want to make a comment on the average age of all of us here, but we do need, new talent, new ideas, younger people feeling as enthusiastic as we all do about this industry. And so I think that's another, way to be able to attract people. Absolutely.
I think our time is up. I think I can speak for us all. We could sit up here and talk for about 2 hours, but it's too hot as well. So a few kind of takeaways from our panel that I've jotted down. The power of the collective and collaboration. We can't change the world on our own. Let's talk to each other, connect today at Live Matters, and continue the conversation, finding new partners potentially. It's very exciting. We don't have a choice. It's not about profit versus purpose. It's profit and purpose now. We need to evolve with that next generation of consumers. We haven't got a choice in the lead up to net zero, thank goodness. So it's an exciting time to be profit and purpose versus profit versus purpose. And as the Jockey Club have very rightly so, we have amazing partners right here that are driving purpose every minute of every day at 88 race days. I love that, 88 race days a year. There are partners here in Hong Kong. Let's talk, let's connect, and drive that purpose, that strategy for all businesses in Hong Kong and the wider region. So please join me in saying a huge thank you to Kath, Hanane, and Deb, and lovely to see you all at Live Matters. Thank you.